Welcome to the Binge Breakers podcast. I'm Jacqueline. I am here to teach you how I overcame bulimia and my binge eating disorder, and how you can too. Through simple steps of mind management, repairing your relationship with yourself, understanding your habits, and intuitive eating. Hey guys, how's it going? It is 2021. I know that that's old news, kind of. I know that we have talked about it already, but I think this is the first batch recordings of podcasts I'm doing for the new year. I had already recorded, I don't know if that's true, but it feels new. It feels like a new year, whatever you want to call it. But happy January anyway. Today I want to be talking about choosing the red pill over the blue pill. If you guys don't know the reference, I'll explain that later, but I'm sure a lot of you do. But I want to talk about choosing your pain and choosing reality over numbness. And a lot of you guys that have been with me since the beginning or have listened to my podcast all the way through, because there aren't that many episodes now, though we're over 50 episodes now, so that's pretty crazy. But anyway, this episode may feel like it's an add-on, but it's very different to the episode called Breaking Up with Bulimia. That episode got a lot of love and feedback. Tons of people reach out after that episode, and still people always, not always, but when people contact me, they kind of say that episode, Breaking Up with Bulimia, it really spoke to me. So I know it's an important concept, and the concept of that episode was kind of to give up the desire for bulimia, give up the desire for numbness. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I'd highly recommend you go check that one out. In terms of what we're going to talk about today, though, it's about choosing to live a life in reality versus choosing to not go numb. Why that's important and why I choose to not live a life of numbness or ignorance. And I try to teach this concept a lot in my course and with my clients, because it's really hard to recover from bulimia if you haven't given up that desire to go numb, if you're still wanting to buffer reality in some way, if you're still trying to look for an escape for your feelings, then it's much more likely that you're going to go back to bulimia or some sort of coping mechanism. You have to give up that desire to go numb. It's just like, that is the key. I feel like it isn't everything. Of course, you have to learn how to pause. You have to learn how to interrupt your urges, turn off autopilot, and practice those things over and over again. But giving up the desire for numbness, being willing to take the red pill instead of the blue pill, is by far one of the most important things that I had to make a switch in my brain that helped me not ever go back to bulimia. So I'm guessing a lot of you guys have watched The Matrix, and I grew up as a very sheltered child and didn't watch a whole lot of movies. So I only watched The Matrix a few years ago, actually, and I haven't finished it, which is another shameful thing. But the most iconic thing that has been taken from The Matrix is the saying, do you want to choose the red pill or the blue pill? And if you guys haven't watched The Matrix, basically they're living in a false world. They're these people living in a machine in this augmented reality. And basically what happens though in the movie, that he's living in this reality that's not actually real. And he's starting to catch on to the fact that something's severely wrong. And then he is met with whoever the main character is, one of the other characters, he's met with the decision of taking the red pill or the blue pill. The blue pill will keep him living in this false reality. It will keep him living in a place that's not actually real, but it's okay. You know, he gets to go on as if nothing ever happened, and he gets to forget the information. Or he can take the red pill, and the red pill will open his eyes and allow him to wake up to reality and what's actually happening. That is kind of what we do when we are trying to go numb with food or with bulimia. When you choose to binge and purge, you are taking the blue pill. But the problem with the blue pill and our reality, when you take the blue pill in the Matrix, you kind of forget all the information and you get to live in this false reality, and it's all fine and dandy. Now, if you take the red pill or you take the blue pill here, you get to numb out reality with food. You get to numb out the urges in your head, the soundtrack. You get to avoid whatever feeling that you're feeling, but you know it's not real. And here's another thing that really opened my eyes. I heard someone else say this, and I was like, wow, that is exactly the example I need. When you take the blue pill, when you choose bulimia over reality, it does not get rid of reality. Still exists. It's all around you. It's still there. It's just that you're pretending like it's not. And even more so, it's different than the Matrix in the sense of the more and more you avoid reality, the worse your reality tends to get from my own experience and from a lot of my clients' experience. When you tend to avoid reality, it doesn't get better. It gets worse. And at the very least, you're kind of just in a fog as you watch all of your life pass by and you're not really there for it. You're not really present. The blue pill is like the worst dampened down version of reality, and the bad gets better and the good also gets worse. It gets less enjoyable. And also, it kind of reminds me of the idea of caffeine in the sense of caffeine blocks your receptors in your brain that allows you to feel fatigue, from my understanding. If someone please fact check me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that there are receptors in your head that will allow you to feel fatigue and tiredness, and what caffeine does is it blocks your brain from feeling those things. So when you have coffee, you feel more energetic. You're a higher performer when you have coffee or caffeine because you are not feeling this fatigue, but the fatigue still builds. The fatigue is still there, and the more and more you take, the worse it gets. The more and more you block it, the more of a buildup there is, and caffeine can really mask problems that fester. So you have this choice then. With all that being said, with bulimia, binge eating, eating food, and what I mean by numbness, for those of you guys that are just tuning in, this is your first episode. For me, bulimia was a numbing agent to my life. Bulimia was a way for me to avoid feelings. And when people binge, when people use food or they overeat, it tends to be because they're avoiding a feeling, even if that feeling is the urge to eat food. So even if it's nothing dramatic, it's still, you have a thought and then you have an urge. And to avoid that urge and make yourself stop feeling that urge, you eat the food. That's what's happening in simple real time. Um, so, what became very clear to me in my own recovery and what I try to tell people is you need to start choosing the red pill. And that is the only way to, in my opinion, recover completely and not necessarily go back to bulimia or give up that desire for bulimia altogether. Is you have to choose the red pill and you have to have really compelling reasons to do so. Here's the reasons that I choose the red pill in my own life. And it's not just bulimia. You can go numb with a lot of things, but I choose to feel reality time and time again for these reasons. And one of the reasons is I know the truth. It's not like the Matrix, whereas if you take the blue pill, if you were to go numb with bulimia, you don't forget what reality actually is. It just allows you to not feel it. It's still there through a fogged mirror. It's still out there. You're just kind of watching it go by, kind of like in the movie Click. Sorry, I know I'm giving a lot of references with Adam Sandler, and he starts fast forwarding his life, and all of a sudden there's moments that he is fast forwarding by accident and he has can't do anything to stop it. It's just fast forwarding through life, and he doesn't want it to happen anymore, but it already is happening. That's what's kind of happening with bulimia in a less dramatic way, but you're kind of just watching your life in a fog go by with food. When you're numbing out any sort of emotion, you're watching it go by. It doesn't go away. That knowledge is still there. I was talking to my boyfriend the other day and we were talking about how reality keeps going and going, or technology keeps progressing. And I said to him, I wouldn't choose to be in a better reality that had a fake you, let's say. Like if there was an opportunity where I could be in this virtual reality and I wouldn't know the difference once I was inside there, I wouldn't choose, just because I know the real answer. I know that it's not really you. I know that the world's not really real. I know what's actually going on. That knowledge, that piece of knowledge that you can't get rid of, I wouldn't choose it. And even if someone told me that, hey, you could forget it all, I wouldn't do that too, just because the utter pain I would feel of leaving reality would really bother me in that moment. I don't think I could do it. So the number one of the reasons is I know the truth. And I can't escape that. And you guys know the truth too. When your numbing out feelings are still there. And also, something that resonates with me even more is that numbness is also exhausting. And I heard this example this morning, actually, which is why I'm bringing this up, that you can choose the things that exhaust you, and you can choose the type of pain that you want to feel. And in life, you're not guaranteed only pleasure or only pain. The only thing that's guaranteed in life is that you're probably going to experience some interesting things. You have your own unique experience, but nothing's really guaranteed. And numbness is painful because you're watching things go by, you're not really experiencing it. And we all know when bulimia starts to get when you have bulimia, you get more and more engrossed in it as time goes on by. Pretty soon it's not just the binging and purging, but you're thinking about food 24/7, you're thinking about your weights, you're thinking about your body image, you're thinking about your secret, you're thinking about how much a fuck up you are. All these things, it's all consuming. And pretty soon the numbness turns into just this constant distraction from your real life, and that is exhausting too, and you are also miserable in that environment. I would much rather be exhausted trying every single day to redirect my brain to, no, we don't do this anymore, no, we're choosing this path instead, no, I like my life real, than living in that other reality, because living in bulimia for me was hell. I mean, maybe that sounds kind of privileged. I'm sure people are in much worse situations than I was, but I enjoy being exhausted by trying to get better than I enjoy being exhausted with dissatisfaction and lack of caring about my life. I really like the exhaustion from, hey, I tried today, hey, I pushed myself, hey, I didn't choose to go numb, hey, this is better. I enjoy that more. And I promise you, when you give up going numb, you also get better at handling the bad, because you know that the bad is just a feeling. Um, Things happen in life, pain is real, but however, the more and more you actually understand how to handle your emotions, the easier it gets to handle those things. They're still just as bad. Having a death of a loved one, still awful, right? But it doesn't completely crush and devastate your life. You're able to handle and process that emotion the way you need to, the way we're meant to do. But your brain, for some reason, doesn't like to feel pain, so it tries to shut everything out. Your brain's not on your side, really. Your brain just wants you to breathe and live. It doesn't care how you do that. It's your job, if you want to separate yourself from your brain for a minute, to actually say, no, brain, I know you think this way, I know you're programmed this way, but I want to live a life full of both experiences. And you don't just get better at handling the pain when you take that red pill. You also get much more enjoyment out of the good in life. I'm much more present for experiences. I was just cuddling with my dog this morning. Very, very silly answer, silly thing to talk about, but I had like a half hour before my first meeting this morning, and I was very tired. And I tried to like watch something on YouTube, and nothing seemed really good. And I was like, I just want to sit in silence with my dog. I cuddled up with him, and he's tired because he just had his morning meal and he's sleepy. I just sat there with him, and I felt his little heartbeat, and I was able to just breathe with him and not worry about the future, not worry about my next appointment, just be in that moment and say, wow, how nice is this? What a great dog. What an amazing time this is. When I was bulimic, or when I just wasn't managing my emotions, can apply to anything really what I'm talking about, but we're talking about bulimia here. When I was binging and purging all the time, when I was eating tons of food and overeating constantly to try to block out any bad thing I felt, any toxic thoughts I had, um, my brain wasn't even able to really appreciate those moments. I would just go in overdrive about worries. I got to worry about this. I got to do this, blah, 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 blah. Now that I've chosen reality, not only can I deal with the bad, but I can enjoy those good moments and I can be present in almost anything. And of course, I still struggle with wanting to tap out. I still sometimes have that desire to go numb. I have it probably every day, but given up I've given it up though at the same time. I still have the desire to be unconscious sometimes. Sometimes it gets worse depending on my mood, depending on how my depression is, depending on what the heck is going on in my life. But I usually choose not to do that. And I choose not to go numb because I have such compelling reasons. And I know that no matter how bad it may seem in that moment, I know that reality is way better. And reality is what I want to feel always. I don't ever want to take the blue pill. I don't ever want to be ignorant. I used to say all the time, ignorant is bliss, and ignorance is bliss. And it's crazy that I used to say that all the time because I don't agree. If you don't ever know, I guess so, but I'd much rather know the truth and be exhausted by knowing the truth and be exhausted by pushing myself and feeling both sides of life than trying to live in a fog that was bulimia. So I know that this was a bit of a different episode in terms of there weren't like practical tips. It's just kind of my reasoning behind why I choose to not have bulimia in my life. And I think it was a big reason why I relapsed back into bulimia, because I was able to stop binging and purging for about 6 months. Um, and I think I went back to it because I still hadn't given up that desire, and I still hadn't really realized that I wanted to take the red pill and be there for everything. So yeah, I hope it resonates with you guys. I hope it maybe gives you some understanding into your own eating disorder and the choices you want to make in the future and why you want to feel life again. I know that this was a compelling concept for me, and it's very compelling for my clients as well. That's why they recover as well. So, or part of it at the very least. Other parts of where they recover is because they coach with me. Just kidding. It's because my clients recover because they put in a lot of hard work, they take risks, and they take action, and they don't give up on themselves, and they work with me. Those are the reasons they recover. But yeah. All right, I will talk to you guys next week. And if you want daily updates with me, I've been trying to do a really good job of posting on Instagram more often. Sometimes I get overwhelmed and I don't post on there, but definitely go check out Instagram if you want a place to get more daily content from me. I do Q&As there. I do stories pretty consistently and random rants on on Instagram videos. So yeah, go check me out there, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye. Hey, if you like this episode, you have to come check out the Binge Breakers Recovery course. If you're trying to recover from bulimia and you're sick of doing it alone and you feel like you've tried a lot of traditional therapies and it's not working with you, come join the course. Go to bingebreakers.com/recovery-course.